Are you considering enrolling high ticket clients without a sales call, without some sort of a sales conversation? There are so many ads out there, so many coaches who are promoting not doing sales calls, that they're filling up all of their coaching spaces without even talking to their clients. Does this sound tempting? Are you one of those people who are like, yes, that is for me for sure? Why does this sound so good? Well, we are going to talk about that in this episode. So stay with me. I am so glad to have you here. This is a great conversation. Welcome to the Next Level Sales podcast, where lead generation, sales, spirituality, and business strategy come together to help you live to your greatest potential while building a thriving business and life of your dreams. My name is Jessie Quimby Hearns, and I am so glad you joined me today. It is my most sincere wish that this podcast shines a whole new perspective on what people traditionally think of lead generation and sales, and that it brings you some fresh thoughts about your business, inspires you to approach sales and lead generation in a whole new way, and motivates you to build a life and business beyond your wildest dreams. I am so grateful to have you here with me today. With that, let's get to today's episode. Welcome back to the Next Level Sales podcast. I am really happy to have you here. For those of you who are new, welcome. I hope you enjoy this conversation. This is where we talk all things sales, lead generation, automations, being in alignment with what you're doing on the lead generation and sales front. So it really reflects you, that it brings you joy, that it saves you time, all of this good stuff. Super, super important for all of this to be in place for you to successfully and happily and joyfully grow a business that you love. So today's conversation, I really feel compelled to talk about because you can barely avoid being online and seeing all kinds of coaches that are out there promoting not doing sales calls, yet still filling up their high ticket coaching programs without even having any sort of a sales conversation, no conversation with their clients to enroll them. Okay, now this is a really appealing thing, right? It sounds so tempting. Who would not love to get a whole slew of new clients without even having any sort of a sales conversation? So it's very tempting, but I want to press pause a little bit today. I want to talk about the difference between moving forward with your business, not having sales conversations. What does that mean for you? What does that mean for your potential clients? Versus what it's like to actually have a sales conversation, what that means for you and what that means for your clients. To be quite honest with you, it seems like it may not be that big of a deal which path you take, right? But there's huge ramifications to this decision that I want you to just take a little bit of time to think about before you move forward. It can have a huge impact on your business. So, I guess the first question is, why is it so appealing to not have a sales conversation and enroll all these clients? Well, maybe that's pretty self evident. Maybe that's really easy because most people don't love selling. Most people don't want to be thought of as a yucky, pushy salesperson. And that's really typical, right? I mean, I've been in the sales world for over 25 years. I never intended to go into sales. I never thought of myself as a salesperson. I still don't think of myself as a salesperson. And to be honest with you, when you step back and think about it, even though whatever role you've had in your life outside of now being a high ticket coach, you probably weren't officially a salesperson, but you were selling all the time. We do. We sell all the time. If we want to go to a particular movie over the weekend, we're selling it to our partner, why they want to go with us to that movie. If you want to go to a particular restaurant, if you're trying to go on a vacation, you're always trying to stand for and talk about your position and why it's a great choice, right? So, to some degree, we're salespeople, all of us, all the time. We just don't really look at it that way. In my life, in my world as a high ticket coach that serves people with growing their high ticket coaching businesses, focusing on lead generation, focusing on client enrollments, growing your business in a way that's efficient and effective, the sales conversation's a really interesting piece of the puzzle. And I see it because clients really don't ever want to be seen as that pushy, yucky salesperson, and they don't like selling. Now, as business owners, it's a component of our business that we can't get around. If we want new clients, there has to be an element of lead generation and sales to it. There's you just don't have a business without sales because you won't have clients. But the funny thing is, really actually not funny at all, is that there's so many coaches, so many people who have this deeply ingrained belief that sales is manipulative, sales is pushy. No one wants to be the pushy car salesman. No one wants to be that yucky person that is trying to get somebody to do something, right? And coaches are out there teaching methods that are incredibly distasteful, to be quite honest with you. I have a client that was telling me that the script that their previous coach was teaching them had them going into deep details of that lead's personal financial situation. Like, how much money do you have in your bank account? How much money do you have in your 401k? Do you have any room left on your credit cards to charge more? Do you have any cryptocurrencies? Like, this is what the person had been taught to say, to push, to almost bully the lead into feeling shame about not investing in themselves. I mean, this is horrible. I don't know. Again, I've been in the selling world for over 25 years and I've never had to take it to that level. It's never been that way. And I've been very successful. I have taught lots and lots of people to be very, very successful in their selling without ever taking tactics like that. So it's no wonder that having a sales conversation is something that most people really, really, really want to avoid. Okay, so that's like the first big nugget that when you think, oh, I don't have to do a sales call, I don't have to have a sales conversation. Oh, that's a big check for me because that's what it means to me. That's what a sales conversation means to me, is to do that kind of stuff, have that kind of a conversation. And nobody wants to do that. Completely understandable. The second thing is that there's a lot of people who feel like, well, I've tried that, but no one shows up for the call. Okay, that's another really valid situation. However, if you're not setting up your system properly, there is a tendency to a high quantity of no-shows on your sales calls, okay? So it's really important to make sure that how you set up the path towards the sales conversation really promotes a very, very high commitment to that call, okay? Otherwise, it can be an issue, can be very frustrating. And then people feel like, well, I'm setting aside so much time and people are not showing up. Well, sales calls don't need to take a lot of time. They don't. Again, it depends on the system that you set up prior to that conversation to make sure that the lead is ready for the conversation. Okay. So, all of these things together make for a very potent reason, compelling reason why people might not want to do a sales conversation. So, if you're seeing those coaches out there saying, great, you don't have to do any sort of sales call. You don't have to have a sales conversation. You can fill up your coaching program with high ticket clients and you don't have to do any of the sort of yucky, terrible, time wasting stuff. Sounds pretty appealing. I want to pause for a second and I want to talk a little bit about enrolling clients without really taking the time to make sure that you are enrolling the right people. And that can easily happen when you don't have some sort of a sales conversation. When there's no conversation, it's just the person deciding for themselves that this sounds like it's a good thing. I want you to consider something, both from the business perspective and the potential customer's perspective, on taking the path of not having a conversation to enroll this high ticket client. From the business perspective, you can have so many people enrolling into your program who don't really understand what they're getting. There may be lingering questions, but they're thinking, this sounds great. I want to enroll. But then they get into the program and it's not exactly what they thought it would be. So if you've just enrolled a whole slew of new people into your program without any sort of sales conversation, they're just relying on videos that they've watched or a good sales page or something like that, that they've consumed without any sort of back and forth ability to ask questions, things like that. You could have a whole lot of people who really don't understand what they've just purchased into. They may have invested thousands of dollars and not really understood what it is that they're getting as far as an experience, a coaching experience in this coaching program. I've seen this happen, and all of a sudden, there's lots and lots of really, really unhappy clients inside this coaching program. I've seen this multiple times, so much so to that in one situation, there is a concerted effort to try to bring a class action lawsuit against the coach because there just was no care in really catering to what the clients really expected that they were going to get. Now, as a business owner, obviously this can affect you, your business, your ability to serve people well. Suddenly, your life is taken down a whole different path of maybe being on the defensive, trying to protect yourself because you're putting out fires of potential clients who are really unhappy with the process because they really didn't understand what they were buying into. There is a real possibility of this happening if you are not extraordinarily careful. Now, I've seen this even when I was in the corporate world. I experienced this. I had to sell to clients. I could, before the transaction happened, I was selling very, very high dollar things. And I could, before the transaction happened, before the customer became a client, I could say, I don't think we're a good fit for you. This is why. And I could list all these things. And even if that client said, I don't care, I want to buy, I would have to sell them. This was in my corporate life. And those clients were so unhappy, even though I had told them up front all the reasons why it wasn't a good fit. And they took all my time. They were really unhappy customers. They weren't good for the reputation of the company because they were out there complaining to everybody that it was not a good thing for them, as much as I tried not to sell them. And I spent all of my time trying to cater to them and put out the fires that I had told them would come up before they actually even became a customer. If I'd had the ability like I do now to say, I don't think we're a good fit, I'm sorry, it would have made all the difference in the world. So much of my time and energy was spent on the unhappy people rather than taking care of my clients who were happy. The majority were happy, right? It's like the 80-20 rule. It's probably even smaller than that. But I'd say like 95% of the clients were happy. 5%, you could see it coming that they were not a good fit. And you'd try to wave them off, tell them, no, don't do this. And yet, if they move forward, that's where your time was spent on the 5%. It's unfortunate, right? Now that I'm fully into my own business, I've had this experience in my past. I know what it's like to enroll clients or work with clients that are not a good fit. You have to look at it not only from the business's perspective, but also from the client's perspective. And so if you choose to go down the path of not having sales conversations with clients and they just enroll based on all this information that they can find wherever it is on your website and videos, all this stuff again, however that process works. People can then just go click a button and buy a high ticket coaching program without some sort of a sales conversation. You can find yourself in the spot where you are managing your unhappy clients. That's where your time is spent in your coaching business, managing and trying to restructure things instead of focusing your time on the clients that you really want to serve, the ones that are a great fit. So this is just a cautionary tale. Now, from your client's perspective, from your lead's perspective, you're asking someone to make a purchase, spend thousands of dollars if it's a high ticket offer, without ever talking to you. Now, again, that might be fine for some people. Some people might enjoy that. But is it really doing a good service to your potential clients? Now, this can come down to the fact of what the coach's motivation is, too. Like if you're just trying to get the next sale, you're going to lean more towards just enrolling people without having a conversation, right? If you're just trying to get the next sale and who that person is that is the next sale, they're just a number to you, right? They're not a human being, really, who's making a big commitment to themselves, investing a lot of money on themselves to make an improvement. There is that air about it as well. When you don't care enough to have a conversation with that lead, it's like you just want more numbers. Now, look, everybody wants to make a great living. So I do too. I love having a lot of money, but you have to think about it as well from the lead's perspective. What kind of message does it really send to your customers if you don't want to take the time to actually have conversations with them? You're okay just enrolling mass numbers, and that person just becomes a number to you. So if that's the kind of coach you want to be, okay, you may end up with more of the managing of the fires and the unhappy customers inside your business as opposed to serving the people who've really invested in themselves and want to make a sincere transformation. I venture to say that most people who sign up for high ticket coaching really are investing in themselves in a way that feels scary, that they really want the support and the help. So if you're looking at a coaching program, and you don't get an opportunity to actually have conversations with the coach, you might want to rethink it. I mean, are you not valuable enough as a client to actually have a conversation with that coach to really understand what you're buying? I think you are. I think you are. So the whole energy around enrolling clients without having a sales conversation, it's like a transaction. It's just a transaction for you and for the client. That's how you're running your business. You're not really running it like they're unique, special, individual human beings who are really taking a leap of faith and trust to work with you and investing a lot of money with you. That should matter to you as a coach, right? It's an honor that they are taking their hard earned money and trusting you with a transformation that's really meaningful to them. So, this takes me to the flip side of having a sales conversation. Okay. I'm sure you can feel where I'm going with this. I'm really passionate about this because I know there's so many people out there that want help. The coaching industry, there's a lot of skepticism, a lot of lack of trust because of some of what I've just been talking about. People have been burned. I've definitely worked with a lot of coaches. I've had, like, for me, all coaching experiences that I've done have been learning experiences, whether it be what I got, what I thought I was going to get out of the coaching program, or whether it was something entirely different. Like maybe I found some great new friends that I'm still in touch with today. Maybe what I thought I was going to get is entirely different than what I took away from the coaching program. You may have experienced that as well. So for me, every coaching experience has been part of my learning journey. And I'm a lifelong learner. So I love taking in more stuff. I've had some amazing coaching experiences as well. So some have been exactly what I thought I was going to get and way beyond. Huge value for what I paid for it. Some have not so much been so. Still a great learning experience. But I think you can close the gap you can create an entirely different experience for your leads. You can build an entirely different brand and reputation for yourself, for your business, if you consider doing the sales conversations. And I say this because sales conversations shift this whole process to treating your leads like special human beings that they are. They're not just a number. They are people who have hopes and dreams and desires and frustrations, and they're thinking about spending thousands of dollars to transform their lives, which is a scary thing. Any of you who've been on a coaching journey, you're looking to a coach because there's something that you need to learn and grow, and you're stuck with something, and they can provide you the opportunity to learn that. And as adults, when we get stuck not knowing something, we don't like it. We don't like not knowing. We don't like I talk with people all the time who don't love technology, right? I'm self-taught on the whole technology front. And so it came with a lot of aches and pains and bumps and bruises, but I know how to do it and it's easy for me now. But when we start that learning process, it's scary, it's intimidating. We feel inadequate oftentimes. And so when we allow for a sales conversation, I'm talking actually through DMs, I'm talking a Zoom conversation where you can see someone's face, set up properly within a system. You don't want to just throw that out there first thing, because that's like asking somebody to marry you before they even really get to know you. That's not appropriate. So there's a process to when a sales conversation actually makes sense. You want them to get to know you a little bit first. You want to actually get to know them a little bit before you step to a sales conversation. But at the stage of conversation that it's appropriate, a sales conversation makes all the difference in the world. You are going on a slow and steady date with your lead to make sure you are a good match for each other. That's what selling is. It's not pushing somebody. It's not asking them how much credit they have left on their credit card. It's not asking if they have cryptocurrency that they could invest in your program. It's about honoring a human being who's looking for help and having a conversation with them to see if what their goals are match up with how you help people. This is a joint conversation, okay? So it's as much you deciding if they're good for you and your program as it is them deciding if what you do helps them. I had a sales conversation just the other day, and I could feel it almost right off the bat. On paper, on social media, this person looked like a great fit. Once I got onto the Zoom call, energetically, I could feel, I could tell that this person wouldn't be a good fit for what I do. Like the work that they would need to do within the program wasn't a good match for what they were looking for, what they needed. So it was really quick, pretty clear right away. Even though they had gotten to that point that it looked like a good fit, I could see pretty quickly. And I said, look, I just don't think I'm a good fit for what you're looking for. So it's as important for me to be able to say no as it is for them to get to know me and see if I'm a yes for them. It's got to come from both sides. So my experience is that when you set up the process properly, you're going to have pretty much 100% show up rate for your sales calls. The sales conversations happen in such a way that they really build connection. You connect truly emotionally with a person that you're talking to. You're building a community. You are showing them who you are, what you'll be like as a coach to work with inside your program. You're showing that they as a human being matter, that you're invested in them and their success because you're taking the time to share yourself, to learn about them, to understand what they're looking for, and really know if they join your program, they're going to be successful with you. And if you're not invested in your clients being successful, then we're back to the first conversation that it's just a numbers game and you're trying to sign up a lot of transactions, right? It's not a human being, it's just a transaction. You want more and more and more transactions. So the end result doesn't really matter. So Okay, maybe the path of signing up your high ticket clients without a sales conversation is perfect for you if that's who you are as a coach. I'm not that way. I mean, I just don't believe in that. The coaches that I work with are not that way. I think most coaches that I've run into in the coaching industry truly are invested in serving people and seeing that their clients are successful, that it matters to those coaches. Now, I also see sales conversations, and whether it be a DM or the Zoom call, I see them as being great for setting expectations with your clients for what the experience will be with you. You don't want there to be a gap in the expectations of what they're going to be experiencing, because the gap in expectations is where the unhappiness sets up. That's where the buyer's remorse comes up. And that's where they're out there on social media saying, gosh, that coaching program wasn't at all what they said it was going to be. And that, again, can have terrible ramifications on your business. I mean, it just doesn't need to be that way, right? It shouldn't be that way, that people are so unhappy with the end result of their experience. Gosh, it's just so sad. It's so sad. I really believe that the sales conversation is like the icing on the cake for the lead that really allows them to get to know who you are as a coach and sets them up for success within your coaching program. They get to experience. Don't coach them on a sales call. That's another big problem. That's for another conversation. Don't coach people on the sales call. That's not a sales conversation. And again, I don't sell people on a call. We have a conversation about if it's a good fit. I'm not coaching them on what to do to solve their problem. We're just seeing if we're a good fit for each other. So don't, like, if you coach people on a sales call, they're not going to buy from you because you've just given it away for free. So that's a whole nother a whole nother topic. But you can really show them who you are as a coach in that conversation, just as you are going to see who they are as a client and if it's a good fit. So, this is the power of these conversations. They are so impactful. They make all the difference in the world in whether you're going to end up with a satisfied client who has huge transformations with you versus you just running transactions, trying to enroll as many people as you can without really being invested in their success. Can you see the difference? There is a huge difference in end result here. One transaction, really big potential for a lot of unhappy people. The other, where you are actually starting to touch people's lives even before they become a client, and you are creating huge bonds, huge raving fans. Talk about customer retention, referrals, a huge ripple effect when you take the time, invest a little bit of time to actually care about the human being who's considering working with you. Huge ripple effect here. Okay. So I hope this has given you something to think about. Yes, super tempting. I get it. I get it. But the nugget that's behind all of this is this whole thought about what sales conversations are, all the yuck that people feel like it has to be when it doesn't need to be that way at all. Sales conversations should not be that way at all. I think you're going to do more damage if you try to be a pushy salesperson on a sales call. If you're trying to close them, trying to wait and take their credit card information and dig into their bank account information, you're going to push more people away. This is not about building community. This is not about building genuine connections and relationships. This is not about showing what kind of coach you're going to be. Well, maybe if you are that kind of coach, that's again another topic. If you really care about somebody's transformation, your sales conversation shouldn't be that way at all. They are going to be something that fills you and fills your potential client. And it's going to be a really positive, joyful anticipation of getting to work together with that person. That is the end result. I see it, I experience it all the time. And that's what it can be for you as well. So, two very different paths. You get to think about which one feels best for you. The path of the sales conversation is wildly effective as well, in a way that makes your customers really, really happy, really, really devoted to you as a coach. So it's not about making less money. It's really about which energetically feels better to you. If you can make a sales conversation, if you can take away all the yuck and the ick and the pushiness and have it be just a great conversation, would that change the direction you would go based on what I've just talked about? It's just something to think about. I promise you, selling can be wildly fun and fulfilling. And I put air quotes around selling because I tell my clients all the time, don't sell, don't sell, don't sell. People think they need to sell, but that's not what you need to do. So if you remove that, does that change how you would approach enrolling your clients? Just want to bring this up to talk about, as so much noise is out there online about the not doing sales calls, not doing sales conversations. I've just figured it was worth the conversation. Wishing you so much joy, success, serving lots of new clients in a way that totally fulfills you and brings them great transformations. I wish you all a fantastic week, and I will see you in the next episode. Thanks for your time today. I hope you enjoyed this episode. Now, before you go, if this episode resonates with you, I would absolutely love it if you would follow the podcast and leave a review so we can reach more entrepreneurs just like you who are eager to build a thriving coaching business that lights up their soul, gives them time freedom, and brings them financial abundance without feeling all that resistance and yuck when it comes to lead generation and sales. And if you're interested in knowing more how you can make lead generation and sales easier inside your business, check out my free mini course. You'll find the link to that mini course in the episode notes. And if you'd like to get to know me better, see what's going on in my life, hop on over to Instagram.com and follow me at Jessie Q Sales Coaching. Be sure to say hi to me there and let me know you found my podcast. I'd love to hear from you. Have a great week, my friends. Just know I'm cheering you on to your biggest imaginable business success.